If you want to assassinate a country's president, just do like this man. First, kill a janitor to warm up, then use expert disguise techniques to fool the facial recognition system. Don't worry about security at the door. Who would suspect an ordinary janitor? Then walk into the storage room, take out a gun from your bag, and attach a silencer. If someone suddenly barges in, it's just their bad luck. If security notices something's wrong and rushes over, don't panic. With a gun in hand, you have nothing to fear. At worst, you'll just have to kill a few more people. Unexpectedly, his target is quite clever, running faster than anyone, but unfortunately not faster than a bullet. At this point, there's no need to rush to take his life. A severely wounded person can sometimes be more useful than a dead one. With such a commotion, the police should arrive soon. Now, just run to the rooftop and casually throw a few smoke grenades down. While no one notices you throwing objects from high up, quickly throw yourself down too. If your movements are skilled enough, you can land on the ground in seconds. Finally, using the smoke in the janitor's face, you can perfectly blend into the scattering crowd. Although removing the makeup later is a bit troublesome, it's an essential part of assassinating a president. Even though the target hasn't successfully been elected president yet, the level of protection is no less than that of a president. At this point, the man who escaped last night comes in handy. With a son injured and hospitalized, a father would certainly visit. Although the area within 2 kilometers is filled with guards, for a top assassin, distance is never a problem. First, use a windmill to judge wind speed, then bring out today's star player. On the surface, it's a suitcase, but once assembled, it becomes a lethal weapon capable of taking a life from thousands of miles away. Then comes the long wait. If you find it boring, you can fire a few shots to calibrate the scope. Don't worry about being detected. A distance of 4 kilometers is the best silencer. As the target appears in view, it's time to adjust your breathing and wait for the moment the target's head is exposed. The Jackal is his code name. He's a world-class assassin. Jackal never cares whether the target is good or bad, only how much the client can pay. He's top tier at killing and equally professional at escaping. From 4 kilometers away, even the fastest car would take 5 minutes to leave the city center. He calmly packs his suitcase and even presses the alarm button. After driving out of the hotel, he encounters police rushing to the scene. Jackal remains unfazed, even feeling amused. His shooting position isn't hard to find. The police will quickly locate it, but when they break down the door to check, all that's left in the room is a surprise Jackal prepared in advance. By this time, Jackal has already switched to another car, thoroughly destroying all traces he left behind. By the time the police issue a wanted notice, he's already at the border between Germany and France. Although he encounters a security check, his identity is clean at this point, with passport and documents showing no issues. Even if they open the trunk to check, who would think that the case inside is actually a sniper rifle? Jackal successfully enters France, unaware that he's been targeted by a persistent woman. Through on-site surveillance footage, Bianca is surprised to find that this assassin's shooting distance reached 3,800 meters, easily breaking the world record for longest sniper shot of 3,500 meters. A rifle capable of such long-range shooting must have an extremely long barrel, which clearly wouldn't fit in the suitcase seen in the video. There's only one possibility. The gun barrel must also be assembled. This is an extremely difficult technique in firearms manufacturing, known to be achievable by only one person in the world. Coincidentally, one of Bianca's informants knows this person's hideout.
Codename Sparrow.
The superior entrusts the case entirely to Bianca, and she understands this is an excellent opportunity for promotion. Meanwhile, Jackal has made his way to Spain. He casually finds a small internet cafe on the street, plugs in a USB drive, and contacts the middleman. He's accustomed to taking on a new job after completing one, investigating the next target while lying low. But this commission is different, requiring him to guide a new assassin in executing a mission. Jackal usually works alone, but he doesn't turn down money. The offer of 10 million is too low. Jackal demands a face-to-face meeting and a deposit up front. After confirming that 1 million has been transferred to his account, Jackal quickly gets up and unplugs the USB. As a good citizen, he doesn't forget to take his trash with him before boarding a train to the meeting point. Unexpectedly, the novice he's supposed to guide turns out to be a woman. Jackal decides to give her the first lesson. A true assassin never lets a living person see their face.
Turn her around.
Then Jackal directly quotes a price of $100 million, with half to be paid in advance. Without waiting for a response, he vanishes instantly. As the woman turns around in confusion, Bianca arrives in England to meet her informant. However, the informant is clearly hesitant and unwilling to reveal the whereabouts of the gun manufacturer. Bianca decides to use some tactics. Everyone has a weakness, and the informant's weakness is her daughter. Young people today are quite rebellious, often taking to the streets for protests, which gives Bianca an opportunity. By arresting the girl and bringing her to the police station, Bianca has ways to fabricate charges against her.
We have 4 witnesses who saw you throw the bottle at the police officer.
The girl is bewildered, having only shouted a few slogans on the street, with no bottle in sight. But at her age, she can't find a lawyer and can only notify her guardian. Learning that her daughter is accused of assaulting a police officer, what mother could stand by? Bianca thinks she has leverage over the informant but overlooks the girl's rebellious nature. A few hours later, the girl suddenly goes into cardiac arrest. Although she's rushed to the hospital, she never wakes up. How will Bianca explain this to an angry mother? But she's not wrong. Everyone has a weakness, including Jackal. He has a loving girlfriend in Spain who doesn't know where his money comes from. To give his girlfriend a better life, Jackal won't miss any opportunity to make money. However, when he approaches a client to collect the final payment, he doesn't receive a penny. Someone dares to default on a top assassin. Jackal immediately packs his bags, ready to collect his debt, even though it's his son's birthday. His girlfriend is very understanding, offering to drive him to the airport. Jackal's cover identity is an antique dealer. His girlfriend doesn't know his true profession. After an affectionate goodbye, Jackal turns and walks into the taxi lane. He can't wait to make that deadbeat pay. He removes his ring, then goes to a safe house to choose a suitable identity and enough cash. What he doesn't expect is that his girlfriend doesn't go straight home, but stops to buy flowers. As she gets in her car, she happens to see Jackal passing by. Though it's just a side profile, she recognizes him instantly. As the phone rings out with a powered-off message, suspicion grows in her heart, while Jackal remains oblivious. On the road, he receives another job offer worth $100 million. High reward means high risk. Jackal initially wants to refuse, but thinking that after this job, he could leave the killing business behind and reunite with his loved ones, he ultimately can't resist the temptation. After meeting the client and securing a $20 million advance, Jackal doesn't forget about collecting his previous debt. Although a few million is nothing compared to $100 million, it's still hard-earned money that can't be written off so easily. Through the account of the last employer's advance, Jackal commissioned a friend to find out a name. The person looks either rich or noble, smiling happily in photos, clearly unaware of the trouble he's in.
Fuck you.
While Jackal is busy making money, British intelligence is already on the move. Bianca has discovered Jackal's janitor disguise from surveillance footage of the crime scene. Although he's cautious, with nothing identifiable on him, zooming in reveals where a brand label was removed from his backpack. It's a uniquely British brand, launched just 8 months ago. Combined with the Browning handgun favored by the British Army and the British-made sniper rifle, she deduces Jackal must have served in the British military. Such marksmanship suggests he wasn't just an ordinary soldier, and not everyone is James Bond, still so agile at that age. The assassin is likely in his 30s. While there are many who fit this profile, it's at least a starting point for the investigation. Bianca has also tracked down the mechanic who provided the sniper rifle through an informant, though not without complications. She had intended to pressure the informant by detaining his daughter, but the girl unexpectedly died of a heart attack. Fortunately, the police have contained the news, and intelligence has experts to handle such situations. By reassigning the police who assisted Bianca in the arrest, the blame neatly falls on the police department. But Bianca had better catch the assassin successfully, or her fate won't be much better. Using the phone number provided by the informant, intelligence quickly locates the mechanic in a remote forest. Bianca and a team of soldiers surround a small wooden cabin. As she makes a call, the ringing from inside confirms the target's presence. She calls for surrender, unaware that the cabin is rigged with explosives. Luckily, as her colleague fires a shot, it severs the bomb's fuse, narrowly saving Bianca. The two enter the cabin, ready to raid, but are met with a hail of bullets, instantly turning her colleague into a sieve. Bianca, suppressing her grief, immediately gives chase, engaging in a gunfight. Although the man escapes, he leaves behind a suitcase identical to the one from the assassination scene. This is enough to prove Bianca's team hasn't got the wrong person, though the price paid has been steep.
I'm gonna twist your
He was just an ordinary driver, but a twist of fate during his shift led to a hitman stealing his job. Anyone who's killed knows that the trunk is the perfect place to hide a body. The man codenamed the Jackal is hunting down a client who owes him money. After killing the driver, Jackal assumes his identity. By following the driver's routine, the debtor will willingly get into the car. Interestingly, the target is the son of the president Jackal just assassinated. In other words, he hired Jackal to kill his own father. To lure out the president, Jackal had broken his son, this man's leg, which led to his furious refusal to pay in the "fuck you" line. However, Jackal doesn't accept this as a valid reason for defaulting. At the next traffic light, he swiftly takes out the bodyguard and floors it, breaking away from the convoy. Though a few cars give chase and the man frantically calls for help, Jackal remains cool. As a top assassin, his driving skills are first-rate, and it's not even his car, so he doesn't care about damage. Even in traffic, he never touches the brakes. A crash? No problem, just reverse and choose a new direction. The unprofessional bodyguards start shooting despite the hostage, causing the man to curse and drop his phone. Seizing the moment, Jackal accelerates, zipping under nearby scaffolding. Having lost the pursuit, he finds a quiet spot to have a chat with his former employer. The man begs for mercy, admitting his mistake in not paying. Neither realizes their conversation is being transmitted to the security team via the dropped phone. With a bigger job lined up, Jackal no longer cares about the unpaid balance. He just wants to return the insults.
Fuck. You.
As the man's cries abruptly stop, Jackal quickly sheds his driver disguise. He retrieves a bomb from the trunk, sets the timer on his phone, and casually leaves the scene. As a top assassin, lockpicking is second nature, but he overestimates the pursuer's speed. The bomb explodes a second before they arrive. That phone call might plant seeds of trouble, but Jackal is oblivious. Back at the hotel, post-shower, he calls his girlfriend in Spain. She's suspicious and insists on a video call. Jackal reluctantly obliges, showing her the entire room.
No makeup, no creams, no jars, no woman.
Yet, she remains uneasy. Once planted, doubt is hard to uproot. She feels Jackal is hiding something. Knowing nothing of his work and his frequent disappearances, she enters his study and starts searching. Opening a closet, she hears a noise beneath her feet, a hidden safe. Curiosity piqued, she calls her mother and brother to help crack the code. After trying everyone's birthdays unsuccessfully, she studies the house plans and deduces a hidden room behind the study. Sure enough, behind a mirror is another door. They manage to break the simple lock, revealing Jackal's secrets: elaborate face masks, drawers full of passports and currencies. She's never felt his face so unfamiliar. Little does she know, Jackal is watching this unfold through hidden cameras. How will he handle his beloved girlfriend's family? Meanwhile, Bianca, tasked with catching Jackal, faces a crisis of trust. Of the three who went to capture the mechanic, only she returned alive, raising suspicions at MI6. Fortunately, she brings back the suitcase. She dismantled the case's drawbar, subsequently removes the screws from the case, and then assembled the various fittings together, and a big kill shot appeared. She has finally proved to her superiors that she had not been wrong in her assumptions. But if Bianca isn't the problem, there must be a mole in the agency. As MI6 prepares for an internal investigation, Bianca's informant, Sparrow, is in trouble. Her husband knows she leaked the mechanic's number, and she faces brutal domestic violence.
What the fuck have you done?
That night, Bianca receives Sparrow's plea for help, initiating a girl help girl mission. The man just accidentally rear-ended a truck, but the driver's attitude is unusually aggressive, jabbing his finger wildly. Seeing the police arrive, Jackal wants to pay and be done with it, but when the police see his foreign ID, they demand to check his car trunk. Jackal sighs helplessly. There's really nothing in his bag, just a toy gun, but the police won't believe that, so he decides to fall back on his old profession. With a loud shout, he quickly throws the gun that killed the police officer to the driver. The whole process takes less than 3 seconds, demonstrating the decisiveness of a top assassin. Afterward, he just needs to wipe the fingerprints off the gun to create the illusion that the driver and the police killed each other. Although he might be caught on camera, Jackal is prepared to prevent leaving traces in the car. He uses corrosive gas. He then borrows a waterproof cloth from a nearby car to delay the police investigation. But these are all minor concerns. Jackal is facing the biggest challenge of his life. His girlfriend Mary has discovered his secret room used for disguising his identity. Fortunately, based on their past relationship, she agrees to hear Jackal's explanation in person. But deception is deception, and a slap is inevitable. Jackal feels somewhat guilty. His feelings for his girlfriend are genuine. He claims he's actually a corporate spy who needs to use different identities to steal secrets, and having a gun for self-defense seems reasonable, right? Mary is swayed by his sweet talk and starts worrying about her family's safety. Jackal quickly assures her that he's taken on a big job worth 100 million, and after completing this task, he'll retire and open a farm.
No more lies.
Finally settling things with his girlfriend, Jackal becomes more eager to finish the job. With the employer's urging, he decides to act when the target attends a concert while scouting the venue in advance. He deliberately puts a metal wallet in his pocket before entering the security checkpoint. As the sharp warning sound goes off, the security guard inevitably has to search him, creating a brief interaction between them. If Jackal wants to sneak in with weapons later, he'll definitely need to borrow the security guard's face. Unexpectedly, the concert venue is so lively, which actually benefits Jackal's mission. Just a gentle pull of the trigger from above the venue, and the $100 million and a nice retirement life would be his, right? But as Jackal prepares to record the location with his phone, he realizes the floor beneath him isn't fixed. As the atmosphere reaches its peak, the floor starts moving irregularly. Jackal quickly grabs the overhead cables, but his phone falls. Worse still, the cables aren't securely fastened. With a zap, Jackal finds himself dangling in midair. Luckily, the audience is immersed in the music, and no one notices the anomaly above. Jackal struggles to climb onto the roof, realizing he'll need to take out the control room staff first in his future actions. Fortunately, the fallen phone didn't hit anyone, and while searching for it, Jackal manages to have the security guard call his phone. With this contact information, it'll be easier for Jackal to borrow his face in the future. Now, he just needs to wait for the target to appear. But when Jackal returns to his hotel, there's an unexpected guest in his room. He calmly locks the door and looks coldly at the woman. Even though she's the employer, she shouldn't meet him casually. The woman is clearly flustered, quickly stating that she just hopes Jackal won't take on other jobs before completing this task. He had previously killed a defaulting employer in Munich, and this news has spread in the assassin circle. How could the woman, also an employer, not be worried? Meanwhile, Bianca, responsible for hunting down Jackal, receives a distress call from an informant. She originally planned to meet him by the lake, but the informant on the other end of the phone is already a corpse. The person texting her is actually the deceased's husband, Larry. Bianca first kidnapped his daughter, causing her to have a heart attack and die, then threatened his wife to leak information about his close friend, the mechanic, leading to his emotional breakdown and accidental killing of his wife. Larry blames all the responsibility on Bianca, and as soon as they meet, he pulls out a knife and stabs at her. But Bianca, being a military intelligence agent, is skilled in combat with quick movements. She uses the crowd to shake off Larry. She calls for police backup nearby, and the situation quickly reverses, with Larry becoming the one on the run. It seems Larry is surrounded by the police with nowhere to escape, but unusual people take unusual paths. His jumping ability is almost inhuman. When Bianca finds his home, she discovers the informant who had helped her is already dead. Just as she feels deeply guilty, she returns home to find an even bigger surprise. Larry has somehow found her address, wanting Bianca to taste the pain of losing a daughter. But before Bianca can feel any pain, Larry's leg starts hurting first. The crisis is successfully averted, and with the capture of this key figure, Larry, Bianca is one step closer to finding Jackal. The assassin hangs a watermelon from a tree and walks 100 meters away. He first wraps a rope around the sniper rifle twice, creating a simple fixed support. Then he takes a deep breath and aims at the watermelon. This shot clearly misses the center by 2 centimeters, so he takes out a screwdriver to adjust the scope. With the next shot, he hits the bull's eye. Finally, he loads a real bullet into the gun, ending the watermelon's torture. You'd never guess that this sniper rifle is made of special materials, as light as plastic and easily disassembled to fit inside a shoe sole. This is the weapon that the top assassin Jackal has prepared for his next mission. Just a few days ago, while fishing by the lake, he noticed a woman who insisted on fishing despite having a broken bone. Jackal got inspired by the plaster shoe, thinking if he replaced the plaster material with plastic polymer, he could trick metal detectors and bring the sniper rifle into the concert. He contacts Norman, the mechanic who's always supplied his weapons, but Norman had been injured a few days ago when his whereabouts were leaked, and he's been in hiding since.
On my own, I won't make your deadline.
Was there anyone that can help me?
No one I trust.
Would you trust me?
Having worked together for so long, Norman trusts Jackal's credibility. Arriving at Norman's workshop, Jackal sees an array of sniper rifles. One particularly vintage piece triggers a warm memory in Jackal's mind.
75 meters, you said?
Norman's voice brings him back to reality, and they discuss the details of the sniper rifle. When Jackal mentions wanting to bypass metal detectors, Norman immediately says he has a new type of alloy that should meet Jackal's requirements. With 5 days left until the mission date, the two begin working intensively. During a break, Jackal asks about Norman's injury. Learning that he was chased by people with British accents, Jackal immediately realizes they're from MI6, although Norman assures him that he has an insider providing intelligence and won't give Jackal up even if caught. This is Jackal's last mission before retirement.
You're an artist, my friend, and you've always been discreet. But if that changes...
Jackal wants to say he'd abandon Norman if things get dangerous, but for some reason, he can't bring himself to say it. Meanwhile, Bianca has captured Norman's close friend. As an agent, not a police officer, she can use any means necessary to make the suspect confess. After several brushes with death, the man finally breaks and reveals Norman's hideout. With the experience of being ambushed last time, Bianca leads a small team there herself without reporting to MI6 to prevent information leaks. Jackal has just finished testing the new sniper rifle outside and is about to have a coffee before saying goodbye to Norman. Suddenly, the lights go out. Bianca has cut the power in preparation for a surprise attack. Jackal immediately calls Norman, but he's drunk from the night before and takes a while to answer. Remembering his promise not to betray Jackal, Norman quickly destroys the sniper rifle designs on his computer, but it's too late to escape. Bianca, learning from last time, has her team attack from both sides, leaving Norman no room to resist.
Hello, Norman.
Despite Norman's silence, Bianca isn't in a hurry. She finds Jackal's backpack on the sofa and decides to wait for him to walk into the trap. She interrogates Norman about the spy he planted in MI6, willing to use violence if necessary. Norman angrily tries to stand up to resist, but ends up taking the fatal shot meant for Bianca. Jackal expresses regret. Although the new gun is easy to carry, it's extremely troublesome to reload. While he's changing bullets, Bianca blends into the darkness with her skin color. She directs her companions to attack from both sides, instantly surrounding Jackal. Once a sniper's position is exposed, all odds of winning are lost. Jackal flees on horseback, but 4 wheels are clearly faster than 4 legs. In the chase, Jackal turns into a small forest but doesn't notice a branch ahead. As the horse escapes the forest alone, Jackal gains a chance to catch his breath and counterattack, thanks to the cover of night and trees. However, the environment seems to favor Bianca more, as Jackal can't see where she is. With limited bullets in the sniper rifle, he can only flee clumsily through the forest, eventually escaping pursuit by jumping off a cliff. Bianca screams in frustration as she watches Jackal escape. Just minutes later, as heavy rain begins to fall, Jackal finally surfaces from the lake. It's late autumn, and the temperature is quite low. Soaking wet, he finds a barn to shelter from the rain, but is mistaken for a thief by the farm owner. As a top assassin, he absolutely won't allow someone else to point a gun at him. With 4 days left until the mission deadline, can poor Jackal still retire smoothly? The top assassin who once killed a president is now mistaken for a thief by a farm owner. Jackal wants to resolve the situation with money, but the man is Hungarian and doesn't understand English. Worse, Jackal's sniper rifle is now in the man's possession. In this situation, whoever has the gun is the boss, so Jackal has to play along for now. Fortunately, the man isn't uninterested in money and calls his brother and English-speaking nephew to come and extort Jackal. While waiting, out of boredom, he insists Jackal try his homemade bread, giving Jackal a chance to escape. Having learned from the sniper rifle's lack of firepower, he takes a shotgun instead. By now, the police have likely surrounded the area, and a shootout seems inevitable. But Jackal didn't expect the farm to be so poor, with no useful equipment and no fuel in the car. As he's switching to another vehicle, a horn sounds outside. The farm owner's brother has arrived. While they enter the house, Jackal desperately turns the car key. As anguished cries come from inside, he quickly ducks down. The car finally starts, but he doesn't dare look up, resulting in crashing into a tree. It seems he'll have to eliminate the troublesome people first. The man cautiously approaches the car, and as he opens the door, a gunshot rings out from below. Jackal, back in assassin mode, pulls the trigger again without emotion. The man's son stumbles out, but he only has a stun gun, which seems ridiculous against a shotgun, considering himself doesn't speak Hungarian. Jackal spares the son's life, thinking he might help avoid police checkpoints.
Let's go. We're driving.
Being forced to drive at gunpoint isn't pleasant, but the man has no choice. Looking at the birds in the forest, Jackal desperately wants to complete this last mission and live a normal life. But he's unfamiliar with Hungary, and the only person he can rely on and trust is his girlfriend Mary. Jackal calls her, saying he's in a bit of trouble, and asks her to bring his disguise tools from his room. Mary, still believing he's just a corporate spy, prays for his safe return after this job. The man helps Jackal bypass police checkpoints and reach the city. As an experienced assassin, Jackal shouldn't have shown mercy, but something the man says saves his life.
You have good man face.
Say that again.
You have good man face.
The words are touching Jackal's heart. He too once wanted to be a good person. A painful memory surfaces. In Afghanistan, under military orders, he had to massacre civilians. Perhaps since then, he could never be a good person again. Jackal orders the man to put his hands on the steering wheel, still hesitating whether to shoot. Looking at the family photos on the man's phone and thinking of his own newborn child, Jackal ultimately breaks the assassin's code. He only threatens the man's family to ensure his silence about today's events.
Can I trust you?
Yes.
Can I trust you?
Yes.
By the time the man recovers from his shock, Jackal has vanished. Later, Jackal contacts his employer from an internet cafe, assuring her he's out of trouble and the mission will proceed as planned. He warned her not to try renege on his paycheck like that asshole before her. That evening, Mary arrives in Hungary with the disguise tools, meeting Jackal in a small hotel. She expresses interest in watching Jackal's disguise process to understand her boyfriend's work. Jackal doesn't refuse. In a way, disguising is similar to Mary's makeup routine, except he usually makes himself look uglier to avoid attention. Hours later, Jackal transforms into an old man in a wheelchair, wheeled towards the terminal by airport staff. He passes right by Bianca, easily avoiding police checks. After all, who would suspect an old man in a cast? However, MI6 has learned of his mission location. Bianca urgently changes flights, coincidentally seated right in front of Jackal. Fate can be strange sometimes. Upon arrival, they both take taxis and check into the same hotel. Jackal considers eliminating this troublesome woman preemptively, but assassinating an agent before the mission would surely alert his target. After weighing the pros and cons, he decides not to complicate matters. Just as he removes his disguise, there's a knock at the door, police doing a routine check. Jackal calmly states he's on a business trip and his ID and passport are flawless, but the female officer senses something's off. Her intuition tells her this man isn't simple, so she tries calling Jackal's phone number. As the phone rings inside the room, it's clear Jackal hasn't lied, and the officer has to let it go. Once the police leave, Jackal immediately begins preparing for the assassination mission. The contact information he got from the security guard earlier now comes in handy. With an assassin's keen eye, Jackal has noticed the guard's unusual sexual orientation. For his final mission before retirement, he doesn't mind selling his body once. How easy is it to assassinate a world tycoon? Just do what this man does. First, seduce the security guard at the entrance of the venue, making him fall hopelessly in love with you. Then tell him you're very interested in the architectural design of the venue. As your boyfriend, he will definitely use his position to sneak you into the venue. This gives Jackal plenty of time to find a sniping point. However, on the day of the assassination, the security at the venue is undoubtedly extremely tight, so he comes up with a brilliant plan. Hide in advance in the mezzanine at the top of the venue. 3 days before the world tycoon Charles arrives arrives for his press conference. The security personnel enter the venue a day early to secure it. As long as Jackal hides well before then, he can carry out the assassination without anyone knowing. To ensure everything goes smoothly, Jackal plans to deal with Bianca first, so she won't keep hounding him. He asks his employer to send someone to kill Bianca after he infiltrates the venue. The famous Jackal asking for help surprises and delights the woman, so she immediately agrees. But not all assassins are as skilled as Jackal. As soon as Bianca leaves the building, she notices a car swaying towards her. Realizing the danger, she pulls her colleague and hides. The driver is quickly shot dead, and the remaining assassins try to resist but are instantly wiped out by Bianca. This incident alerts Bianca. Jackal must be hiding in the city and eager to eliminate her. Based on her last encounter with Jackal, Bianca roughly sketches his face and hands it to the local police to start the search. A policewoman who had previously suspected Jackal in a hotel immediately recognizes him, and Jackal's portrait is further refined. Now, if Jackal appears on surveillance, the police will notice, but Jackal isn't worried. His disguise skills can even fool facial recognition. At this time, another issue is troubling him, since his secret room is discovered by his girlfriend Mary's family. Mary's brother has been coveting the cash inside. He and his mother beg Mary to allow him to borrow 40,000 euros from the secret room to invest. Not only does he take the money, but he also secretly takes a gun from the cabinet while Mary isn't looking. Unaware that the secret room is monitored, Jackal sees everything and hesitates whether to sentence him to death, but he has no time to deal with it now. He first uses a laxative to empty his intestines, bids farewell to his loving boyfriend, and disguises himself as an old man, arriving at the venue 2 days early. Before entering, he buys 4 bottles of water and several chocolate bars as his food for the next 2 days. After the concert ends, Jackal immediately leaves, uses a pre-prepared key to enter the staff passage, and finds the hidden door he had discovered earlier. After reaching the top of the main stage, he takes parts out of his plaster shoe and carefully assembles a sniper rifle. Now, all he has to do is find a comfortable position and wait quietly for 2 days. When hungry, he eats chocolate bars, and when thirsty, he drinks water. Since he has emptied his intestines, he doesn't have to worry about bowel movements. In his spare time, he even sharpens the credit card in his pocket into a blade. Now, Jackal's only enemy is loneliness. Some memory fragments flash in his mind. He remembers the torment of guilt from killing when he returns from the battlefield, and it is his girlfriend Mary who reignites his hope for life. Finally, the day of the target's appearance arrives, and security personnel begin to inspect the venue early, because Bianca discovers special materials that can fool metal detectors while capturing Norman. They are equipped with the most advanced infrared detectors this time to ensure no weapons are brought into the venue. Seeing the police with police dogs, Bianca takes out Jackal's clothes seized earlier, but they have no idea Jackal is hiding right above them. Bianca even personally goes up to check and doesn't even realize there's someone hiding below her feet. As the tycoon Charles arrives at the venue, Jackal begins to warm up. Long periods of lying still have stiffened his muscles. After the host takes the stage, Jackal starts his move. He climbs out of the top layer, swiftly deals with the patrolling security guard, and then slits the throat of the lighting technician with a credit card blade.
It has to be forced.
As the opening remarks end, Charles slowly steps onto the stage. Amid the loud applause, Jackal sets up his sniper rifle, ready to shoot the world tycoon in front of the global audience. But Charles has learned from Trump and places bulletproof glass in front of him. Jackal has to wait for the moment when Charles moves and exposes his head. Unexpectedly, there are other assassins in the venue. After a missed shot, Jackal quickly reloads and aims again, but Charles is already surrounded by security, and he has lost his only chance. Bianca has identified the sniping point above and immediately leads people to encircle it. Jackal decisively retreats after a missed shot. His employer is furious, wondering who sent the interfering assassin when she had only hired Jackal. Amid the chaos, Jackal runs towards the exit. The gunshots have caused panic among the audience. The attendees are wealthy and influential, so the police don't dare to seal the exit. Jackal walks past the guards boldly. The soldiers at the exit are maintaining order and can't pay attention to whether there are assassins in the crowd. Jackal brushes past numerous police officers, but suddenly a familiar voice calls from behind. It is his security guard boyfriend. Jackal intends to ignore it, but his boyfriend's love for him is too persistent. Knowing that the man is a good person and shouldn't be hurt because of him, Jackal can't let his assassin identity be exposed. As the man gradually loses his breath, Jackal regains his ruthless killer nature. Shaking off his ex-boyfriend's entanglement, Jackal is now ready to deal with his girlfriend's troublesome brother. Due to a language barrier, this British Special Forces unit massacres an entire village. These so-called terrorists are actually innocent villagers holding a wedding, but upon learning the truth, the soldiers feel no remorse. After confirming there are no survivors, the captain ignites a flare to request missile support from superiors. With a thunderous boom, this mistaken killing is concealed in flames, leaving a significant impact on young Duggan's psyche. On the way back, Duggan suddenly raises his hand to signal a stop. He indicates that the pile of stones ahead looks suspicious, suspecting bombs might be installed inside. To be safe, he volunteers to check it out with his friend Gary. The captain has no doubts, but Gary is confused, wondering why Duggan wants to bring him along for such a dangerous task. Ignoring Gary's confusion, Duggan carefully moves forward with a metal detector. Seeing his caution, everyone's hearts are in their throats. As Duggan gets closer to the mound, he puts down the detector and takes out the screwdriver he uses to adjust his sniper scope. After probing and finding nothing unusual, Duggan directly reaches into the stone pile. It turns out to be a false alarm. With the danger cleared, everyone breathes a sigh of relief. However, just as the captain orders everyone to get back in the vehicles, Duggan secretly takes out a mobile phone from his pocket. With a deafening explosion, the Special Forces team disappears in the blast. Along with them, the identity of Sniper Duggan vanishes, and the world gains a new assassin codenamed Jackal. This idea isn't spontaneous. A few days earlier, Jackal's squad had executed a secret mission. At that time, his maximum sniping range was only 1,400 meters, far from his later 3,800 meter feat. But this doesn't prevent him from cleanly completing the decapitation mission, a task he has repeated countless times. The captain's rule is that only the best performing soldier can drink in the barracks, and that person has always been Jackal. That weekend, the pent-up soldiers visit a nearby city. They're ready to drink heartily when Gary accidentally hit a man wearing sunglasses. Just as a dispute is about to break out, the man generously offers to cover Jackal and Gary's drinks for the week. In fact, this is all part of his plan to approach Jackal. He wants to hire Jackal for a hit, offering a hefty reward and assuring that equipment and escape routes are taken care of. Although military regulations forbid unauthorized outings, let alone moonlighting as hitmen, rules can be priced. Learning that the target is a drug dealer, Jackal and Gary are finally tempted. The next day, just as a major drug lord steps out of a restaurant, a hole suddenly appears in his head. His henchmen look around bewildered, unaware that the shot came from a hotel a kilometer away. Jackal calmly packs up his sniper rifle, turns, and goes downstairs to get into a pre-arranged car. This shot earns them a $3 million fee. They might not earn this much from their military allowance even by retirement. The man wants to invite Jackal for long-term cooperation, but Jackal isn't blinded by money. With 3 years left until retirement, he decides to consider it later. Little does he know this day would come so soon. He joined the military to protect peace, but upon realizing he's the one destroying it, Jackal's heart dies completely. However, he still can't bring himself to kill Gary, his longtime spotter partner. This moment of softness will cost Jackal dearly in the future. How easy is it to assassinate a world's richest man? Just like this man, one can rent a small boat near the target's island. If worried about the captain interfering, eliminate him first, then prop up the body to make it look alive. Even if encountered by patrol drones, it would appear to be just an ordinary yacht. Plus, being 2 miles from the shore, who would imagine a hitman capable of such long-distance sniping on choppy seas? Jackal not only possesses solid professional skills, but also has a custom-made sniper kit from a top mechanic. Before Charles appears, he quickly test fires a few shots to calibrate his scope. Once everything is ready, Jackal disguises himself as a fisherman again. Soon, Charles arrives at the shore surrounded by security. Since the last assassination attempt, he's been hiding on this heavily guarded island. Swimming daily is his habit, one he won't break even knowing he's targeted. As security guards begin patrolling on jet skis, Jackal dons his gear and aims at Charles. Due to the extreme distance, he must anticipate his shot, waiting for the right moment. Just as Charles surfaces, the sniper's crosshairs suddenly waver. With a roar of engines, security approaches to chase him away. Jackal has to turn his gun, taking out the guard first. He quickly reloads, preparing to re-aim at his target. At this moment, another red dot appears on the radar. The drone is quite annoying, but Jackal is prepared. He presses the signal jammer button, and the drone instantly crashes. However, this action alerts the shore guards. A nearby guard immediately pushes Charles underwater to prevent a headshot. This is undoubtedly the best method, but humans still need to breathe. Jackal calmly starts counting. Unfortunately, this shot is blocked by a guard, but Jackal remains unfazed. As long as the target is still in the water, he has a chance. Charles dives again, swimming desperately, knowing he can't surface in the same spot. But how could this possibly fool Jackal?
There you are.
Jackal successfully completes this impossible mission. Once the $100 million payment is received, he can abandon his hitman identity and return to a normal life. Jackal returns home under the cover of night, but Mary hides in the yard, not greeting him. After Jackal's first failed attempt on Charles, his wanted poster made the news, terrifying Mary. Mary's brother Alvaro still covets the large amount of cash in Jackal's secret room, suggesting Mary take the money and hide. But Mary hopes Jackal will explain everything to her face. Jackal enters Mary's room, and seeing his adorable son, he temporarily sets aside his worries to play with him. Mary witnesses this scene, realizing Jackal is both a hitman and their child's father. They meet in the living room, and facing this most familiar stranger, Mary asks only one question.
You kill people for money.
Yeah.
Unsatisfied, she insists Jackal repeat it.
I kill people for money.
Say it again.
I kill people for money.
I kill people for money! Is that what you want to hear? Is that enough?
What Mary really wants is Jackal's truth, and they finally sit down to talk properly. After getting Jackal's promise to retire, she chooses to forgive him. However, the next day, Mary's brother causes trouble again. Learning his brother-in-law is a hitman, Alvaro contacts local gangsters instead of calling the police. He introduces a job to Jackal without permission, profiting from it. Mary is both angry and worried, but Jackal assures her he'll handle everything. He agrees to take the job and arranges to meet the gang leader at a lakeside restaurant, but at the appointed time, Jackal rents a small boat alone by the lake, as Alvaro and the gang leader chat happily waiting for Jackal. Well, Jackal's bullet arrives instead. Alvaro finally feels fear, realizing if Jackal wanted to kill him, it would be as easy as crushing an ant. Jackal's troubles are far from over. Bianca finds Jackal's previous hiding spot at the venue. Looking at the bottle of golden liquid, she finally understands how Jackal bypassed security. Such a skilled sniper is rare worldwide, leading Bianca to suspect Jackal might be Duggan, an elite sniper who served in Afghanistan. Records show Duggan's squad was wiped out by a bomb attack with no remains found, meaning Duggan could still be alive.
You're an artist, Norman.
The Day of the Jackal finally reaches its dramatic conclusion. Despite successfully assassinating the world's richest man, Jackal knows the police won't let him go easily. Faced with a police checkpoint, he can only floor the accelerator and crash through. After all, he can hardly explain that the sniper rifle in his trunk is just a toy. This action, however, completely exposes his whereabouts, with a swarm of police cars in hot pursuit. Fortunately, Jackal's driving skills are equally top-notch, and he engages in a high-speed chase through the city streets that rivals any action movie. He darts into narrow alleys, sacrificing a side mirror but successfully using the terrain to shake off the pursuing police cars. However, before he can celebrate, motorcycle cops catch up. Unfazed, Jackal executes 2 sharp turns, leaving the police disoriented. The next challenge quickly presents itself as police ahead have set a trap, but they underestimate Jackal's driving prowess. Incredibly, he manages to escape through a hail of bullets, right under the noses of the assembled officers. Yet, Jackal, who had just coolly outwitted the police, suddenly flips his car because of a child crossing the road. Luckily, a passing van driver stops to investigate and finds Jackal trapped in the car. He immediately uses all his strength to pry open the door and rescue Jackal. When the driver prepares to call the police, Jackal quickly stops him. Out of gratitude for saving his life, Jackal doesn't harm the driver but takes his phone and flees in the van. Soon after, Jackal parks the van on a cliff edge. He changes into different clothes and disguises himself. He then tosses a lit lighter into the driver's cab and casually pushes the van over the cliff, erasing all traces of his presence. After hiding in the forest, Jackal discovers an elderly couple camping. Recognizing an opportunity to escape, he puts on a wedding ring to lower their guard. He then approaches them, feigning illness and asking for a ride to the hospital. With his superb acting skills, Jackal successfully hitches a ride. As the elderly couple are tourists unfamiliar with the area, Jackal gives them directions. However, the old man gradually becomes suspicious as they've been driving for 2 hours without reaching the city center. Realizing his intention is blown, Jackal pulls out his gun and forces them to continue following his instructions. By nightfall, they encounter another police checkpoint. Jackal immediately orders the old man to turn onto a hidden road and conceal the car in dense woods. He plans to hide there overnight and figure out an escape plan in the morning. Unexpectedly, the old man, fearing for their lives, attempts to negotiate with Jackal. Jackal claims he's planning to retire and won't harm them if they cooperate. However, when Jackal gets back in the car, the old woman catches him off guard and attacks. As an enraged Jackal prepares to retaliate, the old man rushes to restrain him. Even though Jackal was injured, an old man is no match for him. He had intended to spare the couple, but when the old man reaches for the gun, Jackal realizes he can no longer show mercy.
Why couldn't you just let it go?
The old woman collapses in fear. Jackal, with a heavy heart, sends her to join her husband. Now thoroughly weary of his life of killing, Jackal calls Mary, telling her he'll be home soon. He plans to take Mary and their son on a vacation somewhere safe, leaving behind this life of constant fear. Mary says she'll wait for him at home. The next morning, Jackal loads a can of gasoline into the car, then creates an improvised time bomb and puts it in the microwave. Finally releases the gas in the car. After completing these preparations, he leaves with his suitcase, continuing his escape with mixed emotions. Without police checkpoints, Jackal easily reaches the airport. He disposes of his gun in a trash can and uses a fake passport to clear customs. By evening, he finally arrives home. However, to his horror, he finds the house empty. After searching the entire villa without finding Mary or their son, Jackal, realizing something is wrong, rushes to his secret room to grab money and passports for his escape. Suddenly, a gunshot rings out downstairs. Jackal immediately closes the door and silently observes the situation. To his surprise, Bianca appears before him, but she couldn't see Jackal behind the mirror. Bianca found this place because Jackal had previously killed a gang leader. Mary's brother, fearing involvement, voluntarily reported to the police. Bianca noticed similarities between the killer's methods and Jackal's assassination of Charles, so she staked out Mary's house, waiting for her husband to return. When Mary learned of her brother's police report, she became frightened. To protect her son, she fled with him before Jackal returned home, clearly deciding to abandon this dangerous love. Upon seeing Jackal, Bianca and her partner enter the villa. They hope to catch Jackal off guard, but instead encounter Mary's drunk brother. This puts them at a disadvantage, turning them from hunters to potential prey. As Bianca intently searches for Jackal, she fails to notice the red dot appearing on her forehead. Her partner immediately pushes her away, taking the bullet meant for her. Unable to see Jackal's position, Bianca fires wildly in the direction of the shot. However, even after emptying her magazine, she only manages to riddle the wall with holes. To draw Jackal out, Bianca attempts to engage him in conversation.
Why do you do it, Duncan?
Why do you?
Because I like to win.
So do I.
While Bianca rambles on, Jackal has long since circled around behind her unnoticed.
It does.
This marathon-like game of cat and mouse finally concludes, with Jackal emerging victorious. Yet, he has also lost, as Mary not only refuses to answer his calls, but throws her phone in the trash, as Jackal reaches an emotional breaking point.
And I will find you.
Soon after, a bruised Jackal appears in another city, meeting with a middleman.
I know you don't like an unpaid debt.
It seems Jackal has been cheated out of payment again. However, Jackal isn't in a hurry to collect from his employer just yet. He plans to search for his wife and son first. After all, the last employer who tried to cheat him has already been buried.
Fuck. Damn it. You